The human ship, the Vanguard, descended slowly through Zithara's pale green atmosphere, its hull cutting through clouds of swirling mist. Captain Ronan Vey stood at the observation deck, his hands resting lightly on the railing as he watched the alien world grow beneath them. The planet was strange, with jagged mountains that glowed faintly and rivers of liquid that shimmered like mercury. His crew whispered among themselves, a mix of awe and nervousness, but Ronan said nothing. He had faced worlds like this before, though never one ruled by beings as strange and proud as the Elysians. When the landing bay doors opened, the humans stepped onto the soft, iridescent soil. The Elysians awaited them, tall, elegant figures that shimmered with a subtle inner light. Their skin reflected colors in patterns that seemed almost alive, and their eyes glowed faintly as they studied the humans. The Elysians did not speak immediately. They only looked, their expressions cool and detached, as if the humans were some curious insects brought before a hive queen. Ronan's armor, battered and scarred from countless battles, clanked softly as he stepped forward. Its dents and scratches told a story the Elysians could not yet understand. They laughed softly among themselves, their voices melodic yet mocking. "Is this your champion?" one of them said, and others echoed the sentiment with gestures that implied ridicule. The Elysians' technology was flawless, their suits perfectly sleek and radiant, and in comparison, Ronan's worn armor seemed almost grotesque. The laughter spread through the room. Ronan's crew shifted uncomfortably. Some flushed with embarrassment, but Ronan remained calm, standing straight and silent. He did not need to respond yet. He had learned long ago that patience was often stronger than words. The Elysians had underestimated him from the moment they saw the dents in his armor, and Ronan knew that underestimation could be powerful. A young Elysian approached, its voice soft but carrying an edge of curiosity. "Your armor is damaged. Were you not protected?" It was more a statement than a question, filled with condescension. Ronan met its gaze evenly. His armor had been through battles that would have destroyed lesser beings, and yet here he was, unbowed. He let the silence linger, letting the Elysians feel the weight of their arrogance. One of the humans whispered nervously, "Captain, maybe you should say something they don't respect." Yet there was something in humans that always surprised them. Humans endured, humans adapted, humans persisted. But the Elysians' pride blinded them. They saw only what was imperfect, not what was hidden beneath the surface. Ronan's crew followed him through the corridors of the Elysian city, a structure that looked like it had grown from the planet itself. Walls glimmered as if alive, floors pulsed with soft energy, and alien symbols floated faintly in the air, changing and shifting as the humans moved. Every step felt surreal, and yet Ronan's confidence never wavered. He had faced impossible worlds before, and while Zithara was new and dangerous, it would not break him. In a large chamber, the Elysians had arranged a series of tests. Strength, agility, intellect. They wanted to demonstrate human weakness compared to their perfection. Humans were invited to participate, though it was clear that the Elysians expected them to fail. Ronan stepped forward first, the scuffed metal of his armor shining under the alien light. The Elysians' whispers and soft laughter filled the room, but he ignored them, his calm presence commanding quiet attention from his crew. The first test involved maneuvering across a series of platforms suspended over a glowing chasm. Elysians floated gracefully, their bodies moving with fluid perfection. Humans were expected to stumble, and most did, but Ronan did not falter. He moved deliberately, his steps precise, timing each leap to perfection. He felt every shift in the platform, every flicker of energy beneath his feet. It was not just skill, it was experience, honed over years of surviving situations that no alien test could fully simulate. The Elysians raised an eyebrow, some whispered among themselves. They had expected clumsiness, yet here was a human who did not merely survive but adapted in real time. Ronan's crew exchanged astonished looks. They had always known he was capable, but seeing him act in front of the Elysians with their disdain made them realize just how exceptional he truly was. Next came the test of intelligence. Complex patterns of energy flowed across a panel that pulsed with alien logic. Many of the Elysians solved it quickly, their hands moving with grace and speed. Humans struggled, but Ronan studied the patterns calmly, noticing connections others had ignored. Where the Elysians saw simple logic, he saw opportunity. Where they expected linear solutions, he adapted lateral thinking. Within moments, he solved the puzzle, and the energy panel hummed in acknowledgement. A ripple of shock moved through the chamber. Whispers now carried a different tone, not ridicule, but surprise. The Elysians' expressions remained composed, but something had shifted. They had assumed superiority was guaranteed, yet humanity's resilience, intelligence, and adaptability defied expectation. Finally, a demonstration of endurance was required. The chamber filled with shifting energy fields, testing balance, strength, and reaction. Many humans stumbled, but Ronan moved through with ease. His armor absorbed minor shocks, but more importantly, his instincts guided him. Every movement was calculated, measured, and executed. The Elysians could see the subtle sparks of hidden energy flicker around the armor, though they could not understand its source. By the end of the trials, the Elysians were silent. Some masks of arrogance had cracked. Others tried to hide their doubt with forced smiles. Ronan, however, remained calm. He had not yet revealed the full extent of human capability. The armor was battered, yes, but it had survived. So had he. And more than survival, it carried the lessons of experience, the wisdom of countless battles, and the strength of human determination. As the humans regrouped, Ronan addressed his crew. "They laughed at us," he said quietly, "but that is not important. What matters is that we did not break. They may underestimate us, but that is their weakness, not ours. We will show them the true measure of humanity in time." Outside, Zithra's winds howled softly through glowing valleys. The humans looked out at the alien horizon, knowing this was only the beginning. They had come to a world that did not believe in them, and yet they would make it see. Ronan remained at the forefront, his damaged armor a symbol not of weakness, but of survival. Every scratch, dent, and burn told a story of battles fought and lessons learned. The Elysians might laugh now, but the universe had a way of silencing laughter when it met unyielding determination. And Ronan was ready to show them just how strong humanity could be. The chamber emptied slowly, humans and aliens alike leaving to prepare for the next stage. Ronan lingered a moment, his eyes scanning the glowing walls of the alien city. He felt a quiet anticipation, a sense that the real challenge was still ahead. But unlike the Elysians, he did not fear it. Humans had survived worse than alien ridicule. They had endured chaos, famine, war, and planets that would kill the unprepared. And here on Zithra, humanity would endure again. The day after the trials, the humans and Elysians gathered in a massive hall, the air thick with tension. The walls shimmered faintly with energy, and floating lights moved slowly, casting long shadows on the floor. The Elysians had decided it was time for more direct tests of intellect, strategy, and strength, but this time they planned a more dangerous challenge. It would be a demonstration of superiority, they said, but for Ronan and his crew, it was an opportunity. Ronan stood at the front of his group, his armor still battered, its scars gleaming softly under the alien lights. The Elysians whispered among themselves, exchanging glances that mixed curiosity and doubt. Some of the younger aliens frowned, unable to understand why a human captain remained so calm. Their laughter from the previous day had faded, replaced with a cautious watchfulness. Humans, they realized, were not entirely predictable, and unpredictability in a universe ruled by logic and precision could be dangerous. The first test was one of strategy. A holographic map appeared in the center of the room, showing a simulated alien city with winding corridors, traps, and energy barriers. The humans were to navigate this city faster than the Elysians, avoiding hazards and reaching designated points along the way. The Elysians expected this to be a simple demonstration of human failure. Ronan studied the map carefully. Every twist, turn, and trap was visible to all, yet he saw more than just the obstacles. He saw patterns, weaknesses, and possibilities. While the Elysians relied on sheer speed and flawless movement, Ronan relied on observation, deduction, and timing. He instructed his crew to follow his lead but to trust their instincts as well. The challenge began. Elysians moved first, gliding effortlessly through the corridors, their bodies glowing faintly as they avoided energy traps. Humans followed, slower at first, but their movements were deliberate and precise. When a trap activated, a human would hesitate, study it, and find a clever way to bypass it. Sometimes that meant jumping, other times using debris or discarded alien devices to block sensors. Ronan's crew quickly adapted, working as a cohesive unit. Ronan moved steadily, his armor making soft clanks as he walked, each movement controlled and measured. Sparks occasionally flickered from his suit, evidence of energy absorbed during previous battles, though no one in the room understood its significance. When the Elysians encountered a particularly complex energy barrier, they paused, confident that humans would fail. But Ronan calmly observed the patterns, noticing the brief moments when the barrier's energy dipped. With a swift, well-timed step, he led his crew through safely. A murmur of astonishment spread among the Elysians. The humans were not just surviving, they were progressing with ingenuity. They were improvising solutions that no Elysian had considered, adapting to situations instead of merely following expected rules. For the first time, some of the Elysians hesitated, unsure of how to respond to this unexpected resilience. After the strategic challenge, the Elysians designed a physical test. They led the humans and their own kind to a section of the planet's surface where the environment was unpredictable and hostile. Winds howled across jagged cliffs and lightning danced across the sky, striking the metallic spires that jutted from the ground. The goal was simple: traverse the terrain without sustaining injury or equipment failure. The Elysians moved first, their movements elegant and controlled. They leapt over jagged rocks, floated above chasms, and glided with an almost effortless grace. Humans followed, their progress slower and more measured. Some stumbled and a few nearly fell, but each time they adapted quickly, finding alternative routes or using simple tools to secure themselves. Ronan's armor began to show its true value. Though battered and scarred, it absorbed impacts and energy bursts, keeping him safe in ways the Elysians did not anticipate. Sparks ran along the edges of the plates, hints of energy left over from past encounters, but Ronan relied on more than just armor. His body, honed by years of survival on harsh worlds, moved with precision and control. Every jump, every step, every maneuver was calculated, even under extreme pressure. As they navigated the landscape, Ronan noticed something curious. Certain rocks and formations responded to his touch, releasing small pulses of energy. He realized that Zithra itself was alive in some way, sensing the travelers and testing them. Where Elysians relied on perfect control, humans relied on observation and intuition. Ronan instructed his crew to watch for patterns, to sense rather than just see. Slowly they adapted, moving with the planet rather than against it. Meanwhile, the Elysians grew frustrated. Their precision could not account for improvisation. Every time they thought they had humans cornered, Ronan found a new path, a new solution. Some of the aliens began to whisper among themselves. Perhaps humans were not as fragile as they had assumed. Perhaps the armor, though damaged, was not a weakness but a symbol of experience and adaptability. By midday, the humans had reached the end of the treacherous path. Exhausted but triumphant, they stood at the edge of a cliff, looking back at the journey they had survived. The Elysians followed, slower and more cautious than before, their confidence shaken. Ronan allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. He had known that human resilience, combined with careful observation and adaptability, could match alien perfection. The final test of the day was mental. A series of alien puzzles awaited, designed to test memory, logic, and abstract reasoning. Each puzzle required the participants to interact with floating energy patterns, shifting symbols, and holographic structures. Humans struggled at first, as expected, but Ronan observed carefully. He noticed subtle flaws in the puzzle's design, assumptions that the Elysians had made about logic that did not apply to human reasoning. Ronan worked methodically, demonstrating solutions step by step to his crew, allowing them to think critically rather than follow a single method. Slowly, they solved puzzle after puzzle, surprising the Elysians once more. Some of the aliens, unable to hide their astonishment, paused and watched closely, taking mental notes. It was clear that humans approached problems differently, valuing creativity over precision, intuition over flawless repetition. By the time the day ended, the Elysians were silent. The humans had not only survived the challenges, they had excelled in ways the aliens did not expect. The laughter and mockery of the first day had faded entirely, replaced by a mixture of curiosity and unease. Humans, it seemed, could not be measured by appearances or assumptions. Ronan addressed his crew quietly but with a firm tone. "Do you see why they laughed yesterday?" he asked. "They assumed we were weak because of what they could see, but strength is not just metal or perfection. It is experience, it is adaptation, it is survival. And we have all of that in abundance." And now they were beginning to earn the respect they deserved, not through words but through action. As night fell on Zithra, the humans gathered in their temporary quarters, overlooking a landscape bathed in strange green light. Ronan stood by the window, his armor quietly reflecting the glow of the planet. He thought of the Elysians, of the tests, of the silent awe that had replaced mockery. This was only the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The Elysians would undoubtedly test them further, perhaps with dangers the humans could not yet imagine. But Ronan was ready. His crew was ready. Humanity, he realized, had a way of thriving even when underestimated, even when the universe seemed designed to oppose it. And the damaged armor he wore was not a weakness. It was a testament to survival, a symbol of adaptability, and a reminder that appearances could be deceiving. As the first stars appeared in Zithra's twin moons, Ronan quietly made a promise. Humans would not only survive, they would show the Elysians and the galaxy beyond that their spirit, ingenuity, and determination were unmatched. The laughter of the first day would be remembered, but only as a prelude to the respect humanity would earn through courage, intelligence, and resilience. The night was silent, but Ronan knew that the future was alive with possibilities. He turned from the window and looked at his crew. "Rest well," he said. "Tomorrow we continue." And tomorrow they will see more than just our armor. Ronan watched them carefully as they gathered the humans in a central chamber of their city. The walls pulsed with soft energy, illuminating alien symbols that shifted constantly, as if alive. "We will give you a true challenge," one of the Elysians said, its melodic voice calm but firm. "You will explore the wilderness beyond the city, a region our scouts call the Shattered Expanse. Many have entered, few have returned. You must navigate it, map its hazards, and retrieve a sample from the central energy node." He had faced worlds like this before. Danger was not something he feared, it was something to adapt to, overcome, and learn from. "Very well," Ronan said, his voice steady. "We accept the challenge. We will show you that humans are more than their appearances." The landscape was surreal and hostile. Jagged rocks jutted out at impossible angles, rivers of energy surged unpredictably across the land, and the sky shimmered with strange colors that twisted and shifted constantly. Lightning-like tendrils arced across the horizon, striking without warning. Ronan surveyed the area carefully. "Stay alert," he told his crew. "Observe everything. The terrain is dangerous but not unbeatable. We move as a unit and adapt as we go." Humans struggled at times, but each obstacle was met with improvisation. When a gap appeared too wide to jump, Ronan used fallen debris to create a makeshift bridge. When energy streams blocked their path, the humans timed their movements to slip through during brief pauses. The Elysians grew increasingly frustrated. Their perfect control and superior technology did not prepare them for human ingenuity. Each time they thought they had the humans cornered, Ronan found a solution, a new path, or a clever tactic that allowed his crew to continue without harm. The energy around the humans flickered as if sensing something. Ronan noticed it. Some residual power in his damaged armor interacted subtly with the environment. Sparks ran along the edges of the suit, but Ronan paid no attention, focusing instead on the path ahead. Midway through the journey, a massive energy storm erupted. Lightning arced violently across the sky, striking the jagged terrain with immense force. Rocks exploded, and the air crackled with unpredictable energy. The Elysians moved cautiously, calculating each step. The humans, however, relied on observation and adaptability. Ronan led them through narrow crevices and behind energy-safe rock formations, using instinct as much as planning. One member of the human crew, a young engineer named Kara, pointed to a cluster of crystals that pulsed with energy. "Captain, those crystals, they seem to absorb some of the energy from the storm. If we move between them, we might reach safety faster." Each step required careful timing, but their improvisation allowed them to survive where rigid calculation alone might have failed. The Elysians, attempting to follow, hesitated. They were precise, yes, but unaccustomed to adapting in real time to chaos. Their movements slowed, and for the first time some Elysians looked genuinely concerned. After hours of navigating the storm and hostile terrain, the humans reached a plateau overlooking the central energy node. It pulsed with raw power, a swirling mass of energy that seemed alive. The Elysians approached cautiously, calculating the risks. Ronan, however, studied the node carefully. He noticed patterns in the energy flow, small moments when its pulses weakened. "This is our chance," he told his crew. "We observe, we move when it's safe, and we adapt if anything changes. Remember, our advantage is our ability to think and react." One wrong move could have been fatal, yet every decision was deliberate. Kara and the others followed, learning from each small adjustment Ronan made. Suddenly, a massive creature emerged from the swirling energy around the node. It was unlike anything the humans had seen before, a living mass of shifting energy and tendrils, moving with speed and intelligence. The Elysians froze, unsure of how to engage. They had never encountered anything like it, and their confidence faltered. Ronan did not hesitate. He observed the creature, noting its patterns and timing. "It reacts to energy bursts," he whispered. "We need to avoid direct contact and use its momentum against it." They dodged, feinted, and redirected the creature's attacks, using the terrain and the node's energy fields to their advantage. Where the Elysians relied on strength and perfect control, the humans relied on adaptability, improvisation, and teamwork. Slowly, the creature became disoriented. Ronan realized that the armor, though damaged, gave him subtle advantages. It absorbed stray energy pulses, allowing him to maneuver closer without harm. He used the creature's confusion to guide his crew safely toward the node. One by one, they approached, avoiding its tendrils and timing their steps to the pulse of the node itself. Finally, they reached the core of the node. Kyra extended a containment device, capturing a sample of the energy safely. The creature, now tired and disoriented, retreated back into the storm, leaving the humans unharmed. Ronan exhaled quietly, surveying the area. Every member of his crew had performed flawlessly under pressure, guided by observation, instinct, and adaptability. The Elysians were stunned. Their eyes widened as they watched the humans succeed where the aliens themselves hesitated. They had assumed perfection guaranteed superiority, yet humans with damaged armor and limited technology had adapted, survived, and conquered the challenge. The laughter and mockery of earlier days were gone entirely, replaced by quiet, astonished respect. Ronan gathered his crew for a brief rest on the plateau. "Do you see why they underestimated us?" he asked quietly. "They measure strength by appearances and flawless performance, but strength is more than that. It is endurance, it is ingenuity, it is courage when all odds seem against you. That is what they have not understood, and that is what will always give us an edge." They had faced one of the most dangerous regions in Zithra and emerged victorious, not through superior technology or perfect execution, but through resilience, observation, and adaptability. As they began the return journey, the Elysians followed at a cautious distance. Some whispered among themselves, still trying to process what they had witnessed. Others remained silent, their expressions a mixture of awe and uncertainty. One elder Elysian approached Ronan later, its glowing eyes reflecting the fading light of the alien sky. "You are not what we expected," it said quietly. "Your species, your endurance, your thought, your adaptability, these are qualities we have seldom seen. We will watch carefully. The universe may yet have much to learn from humans." There was still curiosity, even skepticism, but the first seeds of respect had been planted. Humanity's resilience, intelligence, and ingenuity had been demonstrated in the face of danger that would have daunted even the Elysians themselves. That night, as the humans rested, Ronan stood once more overlooking the shattered expanse. The storm had passed, leaving trails of glowing energy across the landscape. He reflected on what had occurred. The Elysians had mocked the armor, mocked appearances, mocked humans as weak. Yet every obstacle, every challenge had revealed something they could not ignore: human adaptability and courage. Ronan touched the edge of his battered armor, feeling the weight and the sparks that occasionally flickered across its surface. The armor was more than protection. It was a symbol of survival, of experience, of enduring countless battles and hardships. And yet he realized the true strength lay not in the metal but in the humans within. He looked back at his crew, who slept soundly after the day's trials. Each one of them had grown through this experience, learning that their greatest advantage was not perfect technology or alien-like precision, but the human spirit itself. It was a spirit that adapted, that thought creatively, that persevered when all seemed lost. The Elysians, for all their elegance and intelligence, had begun to understand something crucial. Strength could not be measured by appearances, by perfect technology, or by flawless execution alone. Strength came from endurance, creativity, teamwork, and courage, the qualities humans possessed in abundance. Ronan smiled faintly, knowing the coming days would test them further. The galaxy held countless dangers, and the Elysians had only just begun to see what humans were capable of. Yet he was confident. Humanity would continue to endure, to adapt, and to thrive, no matter the challenge, no matter the universe, and no matter the skepticism of those who underestimated them. And somewhere, deep within the energy fields of Zithra, the planet itself seemed to acknowledge this truth, the pulses of power echoing the resilience of humanity. The morning light on Zithra was harsh and bright, cutting through the mist that clung to the jagged mountains. Ronan and his crew gathered outside the city, preparing for the next stage of the Elysians' challenges. There had been no laughter from the aliens this time. Instead, their eyes reflected caution, curiosity, and a subtle tension. The Elysians had watched the humans navigate the shattered expanse and survive where they themselves hesitated. Now it was time for the ultimate test. The Elysians spoke in calm, measured tones. Beyond the cliffs lies the heart of Zithera. Few beings have survived its trials. Many who enter do not return. You will go, and you will demonstrate whether your species is truly capable of adapting to the extremes of this world. Energy storms swirled unpredictably across the landscape, and massive rock formations shifted slowly but steadily, as if the planet itself were alive. The Elysians were silent, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans, waiting to see if fear would break them. "Stay together," Ronan instructed his crew. "Observe, adapt, and trust your instincts. Every challenge will test your mind, body, and spirit. But remember, our greatest strength is that we do not give up." He had felt the subtle hum of power within it since entering Zithera, and now it seemed to interact with the planet itself, providing slight protection against the violent currents of energy. The first obstacle was a narrow ridge suspended high above a glowing chasm. Winds howled, threatening to throw anyone off balance. The Elysians glided across with apparent ease, their bodies floating slightly above the ridge, controlled and perfect. Humans, however, relied on ingenuity. Ronan tested each step, feeling the vibrations and movement of the ridge, then led his crew across using small stabilizing tools fashioned from debris and spare parts. When a gust threatened to knock one of them off, Ronan reached out instinctively, steadying their movement without touching them directly, guiding them with experience and timing rather than brute force. By the time they reached the far side, the Elysians had begun to notice the humans' adaptability. Where alien precision was rigid, human improvisation allowed them to navigate unpredictability. The murmurs among the aliens grew quieter. Some were thoughtful, others clearly astonished. They had underestimated humans, and it was beginning to show. The next challenge was a labyrinth of jagged energy formations. Pulses of raw power surged unpredictably from the ground and walls, shifting the paths as they moved. Elysians approached with caution, moving with elegance but constrained by their own expectation of precision. Humans, however, adapted quickly. They observed the rhythms of the pulses, learning when to move and when to pause. When a wall of energy surged unexpectedly, Ronan led his crew to a small alcove where the pulse weakened, then timed their exit perfectly. Kara, the young engineer, marveled at the human instinct for adaptation. "Captain," she said quietly, "they have technology and elegance, but we can think around the obstacles. We don't just react, we improvise. We measure it by endurance and creativity." Ronan's armor absorbed minor energy bursts, and the sparks that flickered along its edges served as a subtle indicator of the suit's resilience. Suddenly, a massive energy creature emerged from the center of the labyrinth. It was a swirling mass of pure power, its tendrils reaching outward with incredible speed and intelligence. The Elysians froze. They had never seen a being like this, and instinctively they hesitated. Humans, however, did not falter. Ronan assessed the creature calmly. "It reacts to energy surges," he whispered. "We cannot fight it directly, we must use its own momentum against it." The human movements were precise, calculated, and adaptive. They did not rely on armor or technology alone. They relied on thought, experience, and teamwork. Each member of the crew responded to Ronan's guidance, anticipating the creature's moves and adapting instinctively. The Elysians watched in awe. Their precise calculations and elegant movements could not match the humans' improvisation. Every time the creature struck, the humans responded differently, changing strategies in real time. Their unpredictability disrupted the creature, making it hesitant and confused. As they approached the energy node at the labyrinth center, the creature became more aggressive. Ronan realized the armor, though battered, had absorbed and stored energy from previous encounters. He could use it as a shield for the final approach. He instructed his crew to follow closely and to move as a single unit. Timing was critical. With careful coordination, the humans advanced. Sparks ran along Ronan's armor as energy surged from the creature. He moved deliberately, anticipating each strike, guiding his crew with subtle gestures. One wrong move could have been fatal, yet every decision was deliberate and calculated. When they reached the node, Kara extended the containment device, capturing the energy sample safely. The creature, now exhausted and disoriented, retreated back into the stormy labyrinth. Humans had completed the challenge without injury, proving once again that ingenuity and resilience could overcome raw power and superior technology. The Elysians were silent. For the first time, the arrogance that had colored their actions was replaced by respect, and something deeper, a recognition of human strength that could not be denied. Ronan turned slowly, his armor still sparking faintly, and faced the assembly of Elysians. "You have seen our armor," he said calmly. "You have seen our limitations, our appearance, and you have judged us by it. But strength is not measured by how flawless one appears. It is measured by endurance, by adaptability, and by the courage to face the impossible and keep moving forward. That is human strength. That is why we survive where others hesitate. That is why we endure." They had navigated dangers that even the Elysians had feared, had adapted where rigid precision failed, and had emerged victorious through observation, creativity, and teamwork. Every member of the crew had shown extraordinary skill, but it was their unity and their unyielding spirit that made the difference. One elder Elysian approached, its glowing eyes fixed on Ronan. "Your species, it is unlike any we have encountered. Your endurance, your adaptability, it is remarkable. We have underestimated you. That is now clear." They no longer laughed, no longer whispered with mockery. Silence, heavy and reverent, filled the chamber. Humans had proven themselves in the ultimate challenge, and the universe, at least this corner of it, could no longer ignore them. As the humans prepared to leave the labyrinth and return to the city, Ronan touched the edge of his armor, feeling its weight and the sparks flickering along its surface. It had been a symbol of survival and experience, but it was not the true strength. The true strength lay in the humans themselves, their adaptability, their courage, and their unbreakable spirit. That night, as the humans rested and looked out over Zithara's glowing landscape, the lessons of the day were clear. The Elysians had been silenced, not by force alone, but by the demonstration of human ingenuity and perseverance. The universe would not see humans as weak or fragile. They would see a species that survived against all odds, adapted to impossible circumstances, and rose above expectation. Ronan stood at the edge of the plateau, watching the twin moons rise. Sparks flickered along the worn edges of his armor, and he smiled faintly. The Elysians had seen only the surface until now. Tomorrow they would see the depth. And humans would continue to endure, to adapt, and to thrive, no matter the challenge the galaxy presented. The sun rose over Zithara, casting long, golden streaks across the jagged cliffs and glowing valleys. The humans of the vanguard prepared to return to the Elysians' city, carrying with them the energy sample from the heart of Zithara. The past days had been filled with trials, danger, and demonstrations of skill, but now something had shifted. The Elysians no longer looked at them with mockery. Instead, their glowing eyes reflected curiosity, respect, and something approaching admiration. Ronan walked at the front of his crew, his armor still worn and battered, each dent and scratch a reminder of battles fought and survived. The Elysians watched silently, allowing the humans space and observation without interference. Ronan knew that appearances had been deceiving. The armor had been a symbol, yes, but it was the humans within it, their ingenuity, courage, and resilience that truly mattered. When the humans reached the city, the Elysians gathered in the central chamber. Silence filled the room as Ronan stepped forward. The alien's eyes followed him, tracing the lines of his armor, the subtle sparks of energy, and the calm, confident stance he maintained. He did not speak immediately. He let the quiet linger, allowing them to absorb the significance of his presence. "You have seen our armor," he began, his voice steady and clear. "You have seen our struggles, our imperfections, and our challenges. You may have laughed at us when you saw only the surface, but strength is not measured by appearances. Strength is measured by courage in the face of danger, by adaptability when confronted with the unknown, and by perseverance when all odds seem against you. Not through flawless technology or perfect execution, but through ingenuity, endurance, and teamwork. That is our strength. That is why humanity survives and thrives. We have underestimated you, and that was our mistake. Today, you have proven that strength lies not only in perfection, but in perseverance, creativity, and courage. You are worthy of respect." Humans, a species they had once dismissed as weak and fragile, had navigated challenges that even their most advanced scouts had feared. They had survived storms, predators, and hazards not by luck, but through intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork. Ronan gestured to his crew. "Each member of this team has contributed. Every observation, every quick decision, every step forward has mattered. We do not claim superiority. We only claim that humanity's strength is in its ability to endure, to think, and to rise above challenge. For the first time, humans were not simply tolerated, they were recognized as equals, capable of achievements beyond what many had imagined. Outside the chamber, Ronan's crew breathed easier. They had felt the tension in every step of the trials, the judgment of eyes that had once mocked them, and now that tension lifted. Their courage and perseverance had been validated. Kara, the young engineer, looked at Ronan with admiration. "Captain, we did it. They respect us." That is more powerful than any technology, any armor, or any display of perfection. Humanity's approach, adaptability, observation, and teamwork proved invaluable. The Elysians realized that their own reliance on perfection and predictable logic had limits, and humans could complement their strengths in ways no other species had. Ronan's presence became a symbol, not only to the Elysians but also to his crew. The damaged armor that had once invited ridicule was now a testament to survival and endurance. Every dent, every scar, every flicker of energy was a reminder of what humans had endured and overcome. Word of the humans' achievements began to spread beyond Zithera. Other alien civilizations, upon hearing the story, took note of the species that could survive extreme conditions, adapt to the unknown, and thrive without reliance on flawless technology. Humanity's reputation as a resilient, creative, and courageous species began to grow. Despite the recognition and respect, Ronan remained humble. He continued to guide his crew, focusing on preparation for new challenges. The universe was vast and threats would continue to arise. Yet he knew that humanity's true strength was not in avoiding danger, but in facing it, learning from it, and emerging stronger. One evening, as the twin moons of Zithera rose in the sky, Ronan stood with his crew overlooking the glowing valleys below. The storms had subsided, leaving trails of shimmering energy across the landscape. The planet itself seemed calmer, as if acknowledging the humans' triumph. Ronan spoke quietly to his team. "We have shown them what humans are capable of, but remember, this is only one planet, one challenge. The universe is vast, and we will face greater tests. The armor, the tools, and the training are important, but our greatest asset is each other and the spirit we carry. That is why we endure. That is why we thrive." They had not only endured, they had excelled. As they returned to their ship, the Vanguard, the Elysians watched from the cliffs above. The humans had left a lasting impression. They had silenced the ridicule and disbelief of an entire alien civilization, replacing it with awe and respect. Humanity's presence on Zithera was no longer a curiosity, it was a force recognized across the planet. Ronan walked through the corridors of the ship, looking at each crew member. They were tired but proud. Every scar, every worn piece of armor, every moment of careful thought and quick adaptation had led them here. They were more than explorers. They were a testament to the endurance of humanity. As the ship lifted off, leaving Zithera behind, Ronan reflected on the lessons of the past days. The Elysians had laughed at the damaged armor, had doubted the humans, and had assumed weakness. Yet through courage, intelligence, and adaptation, humans had not only survived but had emerged victorious. That night, as the stars stretched infinitely across space, Ronan made a quiet promise. Humanity would continue to explore, to adapt, and to thrive no matter where the universe took them. They would face challenges that others thought impossible, and they would rise each time, stronger than before. Their armor, damaged or perfect, was only a symbol. The true strength was within, in the heart and mind of every human who dared to endure. The universe had seen a glimpse of human resilience, and it would never forget. The laughter that had greeted the damaged armor was now replaced by whispers of respect, awe, and admiration across alien worlds. Humanity had claimed its place not through perfection, but through the unshakable spirit that refused to be underestimated. Ronan looked at the crew one last time before the stars carried them to new adventures. "We move forward," he said. "Not because the universe is easy, but because we are human. And being human means we endure, we adapt, and we rise." They were explorers, survivors, and symbols of what it meant to be human in a vast, uncertain universe. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, whispers of the human who silenced the Elysians began to spread, a tale of courage, ingenuity, and unyielding determination. Humanity had shown the galaxy that appearances were deceiving, and that true strength came from endurance, adaptability, and the heart of a species that refused to be underestimated. The journey was far from over. The challenges would continue, the dangers would grow, and the universe would always test them. But humanity would face every obstacle with the same spirit they had shown on Zithera. They had survived the impossible, and in doing so had proven that no matter what the galaxy held, humans would endure, adapt, and thrive. The Elysians' laughter was gone, replaced by respect. The humans' damaged armor had become a symbol, not of weakness, but of the unbreakable human spirit. And the story of their triumph would echo across the stars, a reminder that even in the face of the unknown, humanity could rise above, stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Ronan leaned against the railing of the bridge, watching the stars stretch endlessly before them. "The universe is vast," he said softly, "but we are ready, because we are human. And humans never give up."